morning. Today, so again, I always tell you guys right off the bat if this is going to be a groundbreaking one or just a regular one. This one is more toward the regular than groundbreaking. Depending on how you're looking for your final spot, there might be a few tips and tricks in here that might make you reevaluate or give you a clue on where to look once you've narrowed it down. But this is not, I don't have anything, well, a little bit of new stuff, but not really, nothing. After you watch this video, you're not going to go out and drive somewhere, all right? So that's the kind of point I'm making for this one. But the topics are, and I've gotten better, I don't know if you've noticed, I've gotten better at labeling the videos, rather just Clue Talk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. I'm trying to actually put in the parentheses a general topic or description. This one is going to be about topographical maps, topo maps, then going over a little bit of what to expect when walking on trails in the winter that have been frozen over. A lot of people in this hunt have never gone hiking at elevation, or if they have, they haven't gone hiking at elevation on trails. And so I'm getting a lot of questions about that. So I'll address that a little bit toward the end. But the first is as I call them, topo maps, topography maps, which if you don't know is basically just, I should have Googled the exact definition of this. It's maps with elevation lines on them. It looks like a map with a bunch of squiggly circles or whatever. And it's a circle most of the time because as you're going down from a higher elevation, the elevation line goes all the way around. I don't know if I explained that correctly. But basically, there's lines on a map, all right? It's a map with lines on it, and the lines are elevation, and there should be a key or somewhere in the legend that tell you every line is 10, 50, 20, 100, whatever the difference is. Big thing to look at is when elevation lines are close together. That indicates steepness. And the reason this came about is because there's been several discussions lately about Vermont, and I expect we'll get into this in the Fen Hunt also, about people who look at a map. They're looking at either Google Maps or maybe they're looking at an All Trails map. And depending on what map you have, it doesn't really show elevation that great. So they're looking at a map and they go out to an area or they circle their search areas and they go out there and they're seeing elevation that they didn't see on the map, but now they see it in person. And the reason why this is important is because JCB has been very deliberate about how safety conscious he is, right? I mean, the postscript is great. It's amazing. Water, buddy, safety, don't go in the snow. All that stuff is very important. So I think you can make a pretty safe parallel or pretty safe draw from that data and say that he probably wouldn't hide something on a crazy elevation. Now, crazy elevation means something different to everyone. Some people who put Christmas lights up on the roof, they're okay with that crazy elevation. In my mind, I get nervous on any kind of roof. All right, I'm not the type to go up there without safety harness and ropes. But some people have different comfort levels with elevation, right? So some people look at a topo map and see, oh, these lines are close together. That's fine. That's fine. Other people won't. I think JCB personally, from the way he's talked in his interviews, from the way he writes his book, I think he's going to lean more toward safe. Now, I don't have an exact slope figured out. I can't really rule out and say, hey, everything under or everything over a 15-degree slope is out. And then, that would be nice if we could narrow it down that way. I don't have that yet. I don't have any, hey, everything below 10% is in. All right, I don't have that yet. But, hey, thanks, Dark Souls. Appreciate it. We're talking about topography and topo maps right now. And I guess I'll say this is leading to narrowing down your search area. So I'm using it for my search areas, particularly the mountainous ones. You can use this for wherever your search area is, whether it's Tahoe, Mojave, whether it's Ohio, any of the other popular ones that I don't necessarily agree with, but use that for yours and use that and say, all right, so here are the clues, because it's all about narrowing down, right? It's all about making the area you have to grid search as small as possible. And when you strike out, I recommend expanding. Don't just move to another spot, right? Expand because, hey, math, you could be off a little bit. But this is what I'm trying to do, is convey this to you, which a lot of you know this already, right? This isn't for some of you guys are expert cartographers, degrees in cartographology or whatever. But for those of you who aren't really paying attention to the topography of the area you're going, look at that, all right? Because you want to factor in, we can already factor in the 3 miles, right? So look at the nearest parking area, whether that's dirt or paved. I don't know. I'm using both right now to make my circle as broad as possible. But you make your 3 mile circle, right, from the nearest parking area, because that's what he says in his book. You know, you can measure as the crow flies, and then maybe have a smaller circle. Look at the trails, because a lot of them are going to be switchbacks if there's elevation, and draw another circle that's I don't know what the opposite of as the crow flies, but it's as you walk, like as the person walks or whatever. So now you have those 2 circles that are general area. Now look inside those areas and look at the topography. All right, stay away from marshy areas. Stay away from the rivers. I would even go as far as, for me, any rivers that are going through, I'm even canceling out some of the banks. All right, because you want to account for different levels of water as, you know, floods come through, messing with his boxes, messing with the hiding, and for safety issues. All right, so if you have a water obstacle in your search area, take a look at the banks, maybe eliminate a little bit further out. I'm not giving a number, it's whatever is comfortable with you. All right, so again, this is helping you narrow down where to search first. And then as you get more desperate, and then you might start to rationalize in your head, well, maybe this, well, maybe that, well, maybe this. All right, so topography, specifically for me in Vermont, a lot of the area on the trail is very steep. All right, I don't, even in dry weather. All right, I haven't been up there yet, full disclosure, still planning on going soon-ish, but I've gotten videos, gotten pictures. The woods are very dense. The sides of the trail are very steep. Up. I don't know what's going on. Did it stop? Okay. I think I'm still rolling. I don't know, I got a call going through and I had to hit ignore. All good. Okay, all right, sorry. Thanks, Ed. All right, so topography, all right? So for me, for Vermont, the topography is very challenging. So even though where the X is on the map, if you match up the trail perfectly, the X is in a very steep spot, all right? I don't know, and the people have been all over that trail. They've been all over that elevation. So for me, I'm looking at areas in that area that are flatter or the slope is gentler, and I don't have an exact reason for why other than safety. All right, I could probably do a stretch and say, if you put the coin at this angle, if you put the coin off of this symbol, it leads you to this spot that's flatter, maybe, but I'm forcing a solve into an end result. But either way, it doesn't matter how you get there, right? I think this is something that some people lose track of, because there's 2 ways to solve every puzzle. There's how the creator intended it to be solved, and then there's however you got there. Because at the end of the day, when you find the treasure, if your solve is wrong, they're not going to take it away from you. I hope not, right? It's however you get there. And so we've seen this before in the Discord when people share that a lot of times people get to the same end result, but different methods. All right, so this is one method to help you get to your end result, whether you're like me and you're looking in Vermont, or you're looking along the Buffalo National River, which I still need to call them today, or you're looking wherever you're looking. All right, use topography, use use what JCB has said about safety. Use that to help narrow down your search area. I think that's really going to help out. Whether you come up with a hard rule like nothing over a 10, 15, whatever degree slope, and then as you strike out, you expand that rule, however you want to do it. All I'm saying is look at the topography, pull up topo maps. If you're in New England, New Hampshire Trails, I think is the website. If you type in New Hampshire Trails, they have great free topography maps, excellent source. Some other states, theirs you have to pay for. Some are services, subscription fees. But most of the time, you can find for whatever area you're looking for. It may not be the best quality, but you can find a topography map. So that's the kind of end of this first section, is topography, how to use it to help narrow down your search area. And again, a lot of this is, some people would consider common sense. All right, think of JCB, think of where he parks. He's hiking with the box. I believe that, so I did things a little differently when I did. I kind of had a general area. I started hiking, and I was looking for an area. I was looking for a specific area in my general area that spoke to me or called out to me. That's how I hid my thing. I think he's a lot more professional than that. I think he did several scouting trips, and I think he knew his area, and then he wrote down his areas. Then he went back, he did a dry run, then he did his final run, where he's actually carrying the carrying the box from the parking. He'd already measured out. There was no questions in his mind. He knew where he was going. he was following a GPS, all right, and he went there to that spot. And so in my mind, he's doing that human nature. Who knows how he first discovered the spot? But I think on his final spot and on the solve, it's going to be he's following the rules. He's doing 3 miles. He's taking to parking, and any elevation that he crosses. This is my personal belief. He's doing the hard work in the beginning. If he's going over a hill, he's tackling that hill first, then he's hiding it. All right, so that's just some more stuff that I'm working on to help me narrow down possible search areas. All right, so moving on from topography, unless somebody posts a question about it, which I think most of you guys have a general idea of what topography is, but use it for helping you define where your search area is. Now we're going into winter hiking, and if you're a winter hiking expert, you could probably just tune out now. But so I first got the idea of talking about this because the warehouse I work on, their parking lot gets iced over, and we have to put out, every morning we have like a safety meeting where we cover safety topics, whatever they are. They rotate during the week. And one of the last weeks was, the title of the slide was Walk Like a Penguin for Safety. And it showed a little penguin in a parking lot, and he was doing his little penguin walk. And I questioned this and looked into it, and it turns out it's true. You should avoid ice whenever possible. You should avoid walking on ice. That's just a safety thing. But if you have to walk over ice, or you already find yourself on top of black ice in a parking lot or on a trail, it's actually recommended to kind of walk like a penguin. I don't know all the science it is behind it, but a couple of legit websites have verified it. So, hey, that might be something that helps save you out there from collapsing or eating it. If you find yourself on a patch, which that's the way trails work, is because they're in the wintertime, snow falls evenly, varying for canopy or whatever, and then people walk over it, so they pack the snow down, and then at night it gets frozen, and then in the morning it happens again, and repeatedly. So you'll find trails that aren't actively maintained. You'll find a layer of packed snow or ice on some of the areas, and so sometimes you might not even know because it might be under fresh snow. So you might find yourself walking, whether it's Vermont, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado. You might find yourself walking and realize, oh man, I'm on ice. And the things about trails is a lot of times the trail is designed to walk on, so you can't really go off the trail because sometimes the conditions might be even worse or more unsafe. So you have to navigate that section of trail, which is why JCB advises don't go out there in the first place, because your two choices of walking are on trail or off trail. On trail is packed down by people who have been there before and could be icy. Off trail is deep snow. I think there's a word for it. I forget the name of it, but snow traps that form at the base of trees where the depth of the snow is really deceiving. You just snow falling down from trees. Really, walking in deep snow, walking just through the bush is pretty dangerous. And there's a lot of, depending on the level of snow out there, there's a lot of, it can go bad really quickly, and you might not even know it. So always have this in the back of mind. I'm advising, at first it's a little bit tongue in cheek of, oh, snow, how dangerous is it? Yeah, don't go. Tree well, that's right, that's what they're called. Thanks, Ed, tree wells. But there is a lot of bad things that can happen. So I advise you, you have this $2 million in your head. You're seeing gold signs, you're seeing gold, you see dollar signs. You go out there. If you're not that experienced, please take a partner. Please let people know where you're at. Please take a whistle, any kind of safety device you can get, because people die all the time. And, it's kind of bad because in Discord, you have varying levels of experience. You'll have people who go cross-country skiing all the time with their kids all the time. And then you have people who have grown up in Southern California that have never really seen any kind of decent snow. And you go out there to your search site and you see an inch or two and you're like, oh, that's not bad. But then, there's tree wells out there, Ed, right? I mean, there's all kinds of dangerous things out there that you might not know. So I'm gonna try to stop with the tongue-in-cheek making fun of don't go in the snow, because it really is very dangerous. And some of the videos and pictures I've been seeing of just Vermont alone, and we all know Montana gets crazy snow. So just take that into consideration. Let someone know where you're at. Bring safety devices with you, and don't underestimate the conditions out there, right? So that's kind of the bottom line is, if you're hiking in the snow, you kind of have two choices, on trail or off trail. On trail, you're facing some of the ice and from the conditions from everybody who's walked before you, packing it down. You could slip. We had someone fall down In Connecticut, I think they were looking at, and it wasn't even that much snow, but because the trails are on steep slopes, they slipped off the trail and ended up falling down. Luckily, they're no hurt, just some bruises. But again, things could go very bad. So bottom line, be careful if you're going out there. Walk like a penguin if you find yourself on top of ice. Walking sticks are always good. Other tips I can think of are, if you're grabbing a tree for balance, make sure that tree doesn't have spiky things all over it. I've done that a few times. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover today. I think I'm close to providing some more insight for BNR in Arkansas, the Buffalo National River, and providing some more insight on Vermont. Again, using this topography method, I've changed my search area. I'm still within 3 miles of a parking lot, but I'll say this now because I think I'm going to put the video up tomorrow, the next day. There's another parking lot that not a lot of people are talking about in Vermont. So you've got your the Homer Brook parking lot, and then you've got down south, you've got the parking lot off the Forestry Road. All right, there is another one. It's because there's a subdivision further past. You'll see lakes that look like what's that called? A spinner, fidget spinner. There's a lakes that look up there, and so there's a parking lot up there. Not a lot of people know about. It's not private. It looks like it's on public land. So, and that parking lot, from at least as the crow flies, is the closest to the Little Pond Shelter, because the Little Pond Shelter is a little bit north of the pond. So I'm trying to redo all my calculations using the map, using the coin, using the X or a couple X's on the map, and use that parking lot as a base. What if JCB parked at that parking lot, not the other two? That might be why no one's found it, or no one could have found it because there's a lot of snow and the elevation is crazy up there. All right. That's about it. I'm doing the same thing for Hendon Hollow because I still think that's pretty good. Looking at elevation, looking at anywhere near water. Kentucky, don't have anything narrowed down other than the eastern side of Kentucky. Fenn, I don't really have anything narrowed down, and the conditions are so crazy where I think it is that I'm going to try to rework it, going off of my population density map, and see if I can go over the solve and see if it's more in Wyoming or Colorado, because that would fit better with the map. But I still think right now Montana is the way to go. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Subscribe, follow, all that. All right, bye. Talk to you later.